Hello, you found the place.
BlackPressRadio.com.
The wait is over.
Yes, Miss 106 the podcast in the building.
BlackPressRadio.com.
I'm starting it right now on BlackPodcast.com. Check it out.
For BlackPressMagazine.com, I'm DC Livers. Today we're talking about Frank Lucas and just the entire gangster life and the whole that it's had over the black community. As many of you may know, in the late 60s and early 70s, Frank Lucas was the king of the Harlem drug scene. He was also one of the toughest, most dangerous, and most unforgiving criminals in the country before he was caught. We're talking to someone who may have a different view on why America, or particularly Black America, is so involved with gangster life. Born on May 6, 1967, Burrell earned his stripes on Chicago's notoriously tough West Side. His father, an uncompromising and powerful man, ruled his son with a rod of iron. He drove Burrell hard, relentlessly drumming in the lessons of discipline, self-reliance, and accountability. In his autobiography, Tattoos on My Soul, it's a moving trip through the worlds of narcotics, street gangs, the Chicago mob. If you can imagine, golf is somehow involved in this story, as well as girls, gambling, and entrepreneurialism. This is a story that serves up the kind of voyeuristic, guilty pleasure. Burrell obviously is no saint, but he never was, never will be. He admits that. But he's the kind of guy who's come through the dark side with his spirit, his heart, and his hopefulness intact. In fact, he's gone on to transform his life to a story of celebration, of how to overcome some really hard odds. So, Burrell, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
You're welcome. How you doing today?
I'm good. I know it's a long intro, but I thought that people might need to know a little bit about what we're doing here, because we don't want to glorify gangster life for the criminals. But at the same time, I was watching some footage that BET sent me on their American Gangster series that's been hosted by Ving Rhames. But I know that you got to see firsthand the world of drugs and the fame that came with it. Can you tell people a little bit about your background and how you became to be the person that we all got to know in the book?
Well, first of all, with me growing up in the ghetto, those were the tools that I was dealt with as a kid coming from birth. My dad was an ex-kingpin, so this is what I seen as a kid when I came to the world. And I always wanted to be him because he was inspiring me, yet at the same time, he stood on my neck when I did what I wasn't supposed to do. And coming up on that west side of Chicago with me dealing with Tony Accardo, the Italian side of the family, it was real funny about what I'm about to say, because funny enough, my experience with the Italians, Tony Accardo always tried to talk me away from the street gangs. He always told me with the power that I had, I could do so much more. And this is not a life of crime that you need to be a part of, because you can never, ever win. He said, don't look at him, because this is the life that he has, and this is the hand he's been dealt, and he's going to have to play it all the way to the end. He said, but me as a young guy at 12 and 13 years of age, I can change my life around. And, I decided to listen and hear him at the age of 16. So glorifying gangster life, it's not a wonderful life. Let me tell you, it's not the life that a young man or a young woman even want to be a part of, because going with the gangster life, you lose your life. It's like, you put your life up as a gamble. And who wants to live like that? I know I don't. So, I had to turn around and change my life around and say, I got to do the right thing with my power. And I decided to start in business with my dad. That's one thing about my dad. He always taught me to put a factory up on a job. He says, this is a hustle. This is not a lifestyle. So this is just for you to get past this ghetto, and I want you to go further with your life. I want you to start going to the golf course. I want you to start learning about the businesses that I put here. But again, those were shells for us at that time. But look at me now. I transformed my life into becoming an author, America's most authentic life coach, and I feel real good that I make a difference in a lot of people's lives.
Yeah, we all had the opportunity recently to kind of watch or see parts of this T.I. versus America, or his trial that he's going through right now, and in some of his lyrics, he references people like Frank Lucas and you know, kind of the drug dealers, the kings on the street. What would you say to him if you had the chance to talk to him about his current situation, in order for him to maybe get the message about, you know, where his life may be headed?
What I would say to him is, I hate to see a guy take his talent and make all his money so that he can support his mother, his father, his girlfriend, his kids, you know, just make a wonderful life for everybody, and then watch it all go up in smoke for a moment of satisfaction. You know, and I see these guys, they play with these weapons, but always remember, it ain't guns that kill people, it's the people behind the gun. And you have to take that out of your video. I know you rapping and you the king of this and you king of that, but if you're the king of this and the king of that, you have to speak a king's language. And a king's language is, hey, let's end the violence with silence and let's get this done right. You know what I mean? Everybody knows from the ghetto, it's a way that you check in people's town, meaning like it's like a hotel. If you go to somebody's town, you're checking in their town, and you need to let these guys know, show with open arms. You might see a guy that say, hey, can I get an autograph? Don't be too in a hurry to give him an autograph. Stop and give him an autograph. You know, and you see these different guys coming to town, you let them know, hey, man, I come from, I mean no harm. I'm representing y'all town. I'm representing great music. If I'm talking gangster rap, all I'm talking is what I live in the ghetto, but let's make a change. That's how you have to do it. And unfortunately, he's found himself in a world of trouble, and all I can say is keep your head up and know that it's personal. And personal means it's between him and him. He's the only guy that put himself in that position. He cannot point his finger at the driver. He can't point his finger at his girlfriend. He can't point his finger at this guy. It's not about that. It's pointing the finger at yourself, because you have to catch yourself. That's why we have self-conscious and conscious. And I'm sure his self-conscious told him, man, is you crazy? You better not get these guns. But he said, you know what? I got to go make sure this go through. That's if he did this or however he did it. I don't know. I read things in the media, but I know one thing. He's in a world of trouble. That I do know.
Right.
And all he can do is just try to learn from his mistake, and hopefully a lot of other rappers and different young guys can learn from his mistake and take that pistol off your side, because that's all it is premeditated. Learn to use your mouth. That's the most dangerous weapon you have. And learn to be a giant. That's a king's language.
Wow. I know we saw you at the BET Hip Hop Awards in the front row, with your nice suit on, and, you know, fresh, clean shave, all that stuff, and doing your thing. Assuming that he is acquitted, what kind of thing would you say to him in terms of your life coaching that he would need to do to make sure this does not become something that happens to him again? Because, you know, if we think about it, June 26th, somewhere in there, 24th, I think it was, he had the situation with Shaka Zulu, the manager for Ludacris, out at the BET Awards. So he's kind of had a very rough year in terms of, you know, violence and drama. What would you say to him as his life coach to keep him on track going forward for the rest of his life?
Again, I would say, you the king. Think like a king. Now you got a chance to come back to society and do something wonderful with your life. Forget about going for the moment of satisfaction. A guy try to take you there, stop, count to 10 to yourself, take a couple of deep yoga breaths, and then pull yourself together and let him know up front, or her. All can win in this situation is the attorney and the court systems. Because if I kill you, I'm going to penitentiary the rest of my life, and if you kill me, you go to penitentiary the rest of your life. That's if you lucky. And I'm not ready to go to penitentiary, so let's end this with silence. And fly with the eagles, never ever the sparrows. And that's the problem with these guys. They fly with too many sparrows. Don't lose focus of what you out here doing your rap music for. You're doing it for you can rest, dress, and progress. So keep that in mind. That's what I would say to T.I.
Well, you heard it here to this podcast.